A nation still healing, scars of injustice run deep. America, land of the free, home of the brave, a beacon of hope, they say. But look closer. Behind the shining facade, a darker truth festers. The numbers don't lie. Did you know that in the 21st century, a black man in America is still 3 times more likely to be killed by police than a white man? This is not a coincidence. This is America, a nation built on ideals of equality, yet haunted by the ghosts of its past. We're a nation still healing, grappling with the deep scars of injustice. This isn't just about numbers, it's about real people. It's about fathers, sons, brothers lost. It's about the dreams shattered and the futures stolen. This is the reality of social injustice in America. It's time to face it. We like to think we've moved past our troubled history. We celebrate civil rights victories, pat ourselves on the back for progress. But have we truly overcome? The answer, sadly, is no. The fight for justice is far from over. In fact, it feels like we're at a crossroads. The weight of injustice falls heavy on the shoulders of marginalized communities. Black Americans, Latinos, Native Americans, the LGBTQ+ community, they all bear the brunt of systemic oppression. This is our collective shame, but it's also a call to action. It's time to rise above the apathy, the complacency. It's time to fight for the soul of America. Unmasking the beast? What is social injustice? Social injustice. It's a term thrown around a lot, but what does it really mean? It's the unfair treatment of individuals based on race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or economic status, denying people equal opportunities, rights, and dignity. Think of it like a virus, infecting every facet of our society. It's in our education system, where children of color are trapped in underfunded schools. It's in our criminal justice system, where black and brown bodies are disproportionately incarcerated. It's in our healthcare system, where access to quality care is a privilege, not a right. Social injustice manifests in many forms. It's the subtle sting of microaggressions, the everyday slights that chip away at your sense of self-worth. It's the blatant discrimination that keeps you from getting that job or that loan. It's the fear of walking down the street, knowing that your skin color could be seen as a threat. The worst part? Social injustice is often insidious, woven into the very fabric of our institutions. It's not always about hateful individuals. It's about systems that perpetuate inequality. It's about policies that disadvantage the vulnerable, laws that enshrine discrimination. We need to call it what it is: systemic oppression. It's time to stop pretending it doesn't exist. It's time to dismantle the structures that uphold it. It's time to build a society where everyone, regardless of their background, has an equal chance to thrive. Echoes of the past, a legacy of inequality. To understand social injustice in America, we must confront our past. We can't just erase the ugly chapters of our history: slavery, segregation, Jim Crow. These weren't just isolated incidents. They were systemic efforts to subjugate and dehumanize Black Americans. The wounds of the past run deep. The legacy of these injustices lives on in the form of mass incarceration, economic inequality, and the erosion of voting rights. We see it in the racial wealth gap, where the median white family has 10 times the wealth of the median Black family. But it's not just about race. Women have long fought for their rightful place at the table, battling for equal pay, reproductive rights, and protection from gender-based violence. Immigrants, often demonized and exploited, struggle for basic human dignity. The LGBTQ+ community continues to fight for acceptance and equality. The fight for social justice is a relay race. Each generation picks up the baton, carrying the torch of equality forward. We stand on the shoulders of giants, those who came before us and dared to demand a better world. Their struggles paved the way for the progress we see today. But we cannot afford to be complacent. We must learn from the mistakes of the past and ensure that they are never repeated. We must acknowledge the deep-seated prejudices and systemic barriers that continue to plague our society. The struggle continues. Modern manifestations of injustice. We live in a world saturated with images. Every day, our phones buzz with news alerts, social media feeds, and viral videos. These images show us a disturbing reality. The struggle for social justice is far from over. We see it in the hashtags that trend after another unarmed black person is killed by police. We hear it in the impassioned pleas of activists fighting for immigrant rights. We feel it in the collective anger and frustration that erupts in the wake of each injustice. George Floyd's murder by a police officer sparked global outrage and reignited the Black Lives Matter movement. Floyd's death was a stark reminder of the systemic racism that permeates American society. It was a wake-up call for those who had the privilege of ignoring the realities of police brutality and racial profiling. The fight for social justice is not just about headline-grabbing cases. It's about the everyday injustices faced by marginalized communities. It's about the Latinx family torn apart by ICE raids. It's about the transgender woman denied healthcare because of her identity. It's about the Muslim shopkeeper facing discrimination because of his faith. We cannot become desensitized to these injustices. We cannot allow ourselves to become numb to the suffering of others. Each story of injustice, every act of discrimination is a stain on the fabric of our society. These are not isolated incidents. They are symptoms of a deeper disease, a disease that infects our laws, our institutions, and even our hearts. We must remember that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are all interconnected, and the fight for a more just world requires solidarity, empathy, and a willingness to challenge the status quo.